So Nationals was almost 2 months ago. It's been a really busy few months for me though, so I don't have a typical tournament report for you. What I do have is a collection of audio bits related to the event. I'm going to do the This American Life thing and call them acts. So, make it sound more professional or something. Act 1. I just want a game, you guys. My overall record in the main event was 4-4, which is a personal best in a major Star Wars CCG tournament. I had a number of interesting games, including 2 nail-biters where I lost to Sam Tashima, who went on to top 8. However, this is my podcast, so I'm going to focus on my biggest win of the weekend. After defeating the intern Matt Thornton in Game 1, I was pulled to be on stream versus fellow Star Wars CCG podcaster Mike Kessling. I think they like to put me on stream early in these events because they know I won't be in contention to make X and 2 after about the 3rd round. Anyway, the matchup was my There Is Good in Him versus his Bring Him Before Me. Somehow I not only managed to win the game, but to convert Vader. Here's a bit of the post-game interview. I apologize for my raspy voice during the interview. I had a nasty cold earlier that week and my voice hadn't quite recovered.
Oh my gosh, I just won a game, you guys. Let's talk about this game. It's freaking There's Good in Him versus Bring Him Before Me, and I turned Vader to the light side, just like in the movies.
So you've been playing TIG for almost a year now.
More like 6 months, but yeah.
Okay, so have you played this matchup a lot?
Yeah, definitely. It's been because Bring Him Before Me is a pretty popular deck. I don't know if you guys knew that. But that's like my analysis of the metagame is that Bring Before Me has been popular for a little while. I know, Justin, I know you've never played the deck before, so it's from Death Star 2, and you're trying to turn the people to the other side. But
I've played Bring Up against TIG exactly one time.
Oh yeah.
So.
So I will say that I want to the way that I cracked this matchup, and I cracked this matchup. I'm not a great player. This is like 101 level stuff. But Cal Aldred pointed out to me, and it wasn't even I was playing Yoda Muning at the time, that in mains versus mains, you have to kind of figure out, okay, can I, you fight, and then you have to figure out when to pick your battles. And so here it was like once he got solid at the landing platform, that's where you set up somewhere else, and then either they either have to come after you with half of their force, or it gives you a little bit of time to build up until it's time to move over. And especially if you're able to get that Nabrin, Nabrin Leads is an insane card. And I got that first win versus Vader here, and it was like, in this matchup, like it's like we're both trying to stack the cards, and especially There's Good in Him. Once you get that third card, if you can draw a 6, you just win. Like you don't have to attract 17 different destinies and move over to the other site and all this stuff. Like it's just you just draw those 6s, and I was lucky. I mean, I've been a million times. I've been in the situation where you just can't find that 6. So I got lucky that I happened to have a 6 in hand and a low enough force count that I was able to just activate to it because I can't track. Like I'm not gonna.
So I gotta ask, how does it feel to beat Mike Kessling, your rival, with the creator of the Kessling Run?
So beating the Battle of the Podcasters with my Corran and the Horn sleeves. I mean, like, look, this is everything is coming up Kendall right now. I will also say the basement crew.
You were advertising better. That's why you won. So.
Yeah. I will say the basement crew in game 1, all 3 of us won. our games. So yeah, just the day is going very well. So we'll see where it goes from here. But because now that I'm 2-0, I'm not going to get any. Not that my first two opponents were chumps, but it's going to be uphill from here. I have no delusions. I just went 1-11 in the OCS, so no delusions of grandeur. But I just turned Vader. Don't take a bad side. That was awesome.
So, do you have a message for Justin Desai in the chat? Because he was like putting up all the lines, and it was just like really fun watching Justin think about this matchup.
Oh yeah, my message for
he's doing the right thing.
My message for he said I was doing the right thing. Oh good. Well then I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good
I gotta ask, why did you decide not to play your N1 hidden base deck that you played last weekend?
I mean, it was definitely in the consideration. I don't know. I really considered it. I think if I was gonna play it, then I would have needed to put at least a little bit more tuning into it. Like, not that my decks are perfect or anything, but the hidden base deck, the hidden base defense fighters deck did better than expected last weekend. But I hadn't updated it in 6 months. And so if I feel like I would have needed to actually go through and figure stuff out. I mean, the plan. Granted, the similarity between the There's Good at Him and the Hidden Base deck is that the plan with both of those decks is just to get a bunch of stupid luck, and that's the strategy that took me to victory here. It was just to draw a bunch of high destinies and randomly draw good cards in my hand. Getting 3PO into your opening hand is pretty good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I feel like it was a little more complicated than good luck. But what do you think of the meta here for your There Is Good in terms of your matchups and whatnot?
I mean, I have basically if it's mains versus mains, I have a plan. If it's ROPS, I don't think I'm favored, but I'm also not I've played that matchup enough. And Thrawn is still really an unknown quantity for me. I've only it's a relatively new deck, and I just don't have a million bajillion reps against it. So that just is what it is. There's a few cards that I put in my deck to address Thrawn that are probably bad and probably that's the nice thing about a game like this one where I had a steady drain. So if I had a bad card in hand, then I could just lose it. And that's another high level tip from the guy that just won on stream. If you have bad cards in hand and your opponent force strains you should lose those to the force strain. So make sure to always put a few bad cards in your deck. Just for that.
Well, again, thank you for joining us after that. Well played on the win, man, and congrats on keep it up. You're 2-0. How does that feel?
I mean, I guess it means that both of my decks can win a game. It feels pretty good. I just got if I can win a couple more, then I'll be even happier. But no delusions of grandeur here. I feel like I feel like the first two rounds were matchups that I either was favored or had a real plan for, and there's going to be a lot of matchups that I'm not going to be nearly as well prepared for. That are going to be very big challenges. There are a lot of great players here, and with being 2-0, there's very little chance that I'm going to get any easy games for the rest of the day. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, hopefully it goes okay.
Act 2, 3 questions, Part 1. It wouldn't be a major special if I didn't ask some folks 3 questions. The difference here is that the intern, Matt Thornton, and I tag teamed these 3 questions. And he produced his own segment, which we'll play later. But here's what I got. All right, I'm here with Corey, right? All right, Corey, first question. What advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Spend a lot of time on GEMP. It is very good for playtesting, building, and not having to physically put all your cards together to form decks and see if a deck works or not, just to tear it apart if it doesn't, and yeah.
What is your favorite alternate format of Star Wars CCG?
I would say probably like no Vs. Probably no Vs is probably what I'd say.
Okay, and finally, what is the best meal you've ever eaten alone in your car?
The best meal, I would say alone in the car. Let's see. Gotta think about that one real quick. Probably, I would say probably soup.
All right, I'm here with CRG. First question for you. What advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Read all the cards. If you don't know what a card does, ask your opponent, and always be courteous and thank everyone.
All right, next question. We had a couple of side events last night in alternate formats. What is your favorite alternate format of Star Wars CCG?
Cube.
All right, and finally, what is the best meal you've ever eaten alone in your car?
Best meal eaten alone in my car. I once had a craving for Kentucky Fried Chicken, and so I got way too much and was disappointed. But it was that first bite was a very Raymond K. Hessel moment.
Perfect, thank you. All right, I'm here with Javi Doughboy. First question, what advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
I would say define your own way of winning. You don't need to win, just have fun, play decks you like, and enjoy yourself.
All right. What is your favorite alternate format of Star Wars CCG?
My favorite, probably one that I think, what's the guy's name? Craig Atkins, those guys, they ran a Cloud City event. That was really fun. It was retro, Cloud City only, just random stuff. Pretty cool.
And what is the best meal that you've ever eaten alone in your car?
It must have been my sausage, egg, and cheese from ExxonMobil yesterday.
Thank you. Here with the legendary Jim Lee. All right, Jim Lee, what advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Well, I think so. If you want to do well, you should probably practice a lot, right? And so GEMP is a great platform to just play a lot of games, play a lot of decks, get used to, every situation. So that seems like a good idea.
What is your favorite alternate format, Star Wars CCG format?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've really ever played a lot of alternate formats, but I think Premier Death Star 2 sounds really fun because that comes from that's a period of time that I remember very fondly myself. So probably that, although I don't know if I've played that much.
What's the best meal you've ever eaten alone in your car?
That is a good question. So I have some memories of McDonald's in the car. That's really all I remember. So that probably just has to be it by virtue of, it being the only meals that I can remember eating in my car. So, yep.
Thank you. All right, I'm here with Joel. 3 questions. First question, what advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
I don't know. Just have fun. Just find unique strategies that are just fun for you, and just have fun doing it.
What is your favorite alternate format of Star Wars CCG?
That's a good question. I don't know. I also played in the same Cloud City event that Hy-Vee Doughboy played, and that was fun. But yeah, I'd probably go with that also.
What is the best meal you've ever eaten alone in your car?
I would say a McRib from McDonald's.
Good call. All right, I'm here with Carl. Carl, what advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Play a lot, play with really smart people, and don't get discouraged by losing. It's the only way you get better.
What's your favorite alternate format?
I love the Jawa format because it takes away the top of the power curve, and decks I personally love might actually be playable. Not winnable, but playable.
And finally, what's the best meal you've ever eaten alone in your car?
A Chipotle burrito that was way overstuffed and ended up on my lap as much as it did in my mouth, but it was delicious.
Thank you. Act 3. Who won the event anyway? Personally, once I know I didn't make top 8, I don't pay much attention to what happens in the main event at these sorts of things. I focus on winning my last few games day one and not embarrassing myself in the consolation event. But I guess someone has to win, and a special podcast episode needs to acknowledge that because of journalism or whatever. I spoke with Hayes Hunter the Thursday before the event, and he said every time he's interviewed, he feels like he answers the same questions and tells the same stories. This caused me to go home and rethink my life, like Elon's Sleaze-Bagano, but also gave me an excuse to just re-air a clip from the interview I did with him last year. Here's the belt story.
The TLDR is I found this amazing Star Wars belt, and the guy that I was getting it from was at Burning Man, and then he was sick after going to Burning Man, and then I had to harass him a lot, and he finally sent me this belt, but it was like at the post office the day of my flight out of the country, and I really wanted to have it in Europe, so I had to drive to the post office on my way to Europe to get this belt, and I was so happy and proud of this belt. Like, I just bought a new car, but prior to buying the new car, it is my favorite material possession that isn't a Star Wars card. And yeah, so I was really happy and excited about this belt, and I was showing everyone in Europe. And Jeeps, Peter Jacobson, took pictures of it, and because he doesn't know how to use the forums, he ended up posting like 72 pictures of me holding my belt, all in the European world's forum. So you can go find approximately 72 pictures of my belt there. And I love it so much. I wear it every day to work, to weddings, you name it. It's never off my person. I love my belt.
All right. That was that.
I even wear it with pajamas. Like it's just a really, really sexy belt.
Act 4. 3 questions we've all been waiting for. One of the most exciting things about Nationals was getting to meet Matt Thornton. He did a great job with the 3 questions segment at San Diego, and I was able to set him up with a slightly better recording setup for his 3 questions at Nationals. He also helped me find that Hayes clip that I just played, which saved me a ton of time putting this thing together. In addition, he edited his 3 questions segment. Here it is. Let's hope for the best.
All right, I am here with Hayes Hunter. And Hayes Hunter, I would like to ask you 3 questions. First, what would your advice be to the next generation of Star Wars players, given that we're in Minnesota, the home of the Walseth program?
Practice makes permanent. Play as many games as you can. Lose a lot. That's how you get better.
Good advice. Second question is, what is your favorite alternate format, not open?
Probably the Premiere to Death Star 2 or Premiere to Reflections. Either one are both very.
Do you want to play Watch Your Step every game or not? That's your question with that format.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're playing in the latter, you're playing Watch Your Step. I love the abuse. I mean, it's double Gunite, double Lost in the Wilderness. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So yeah, I like both of those just fine.
And then finally, what do you think I should ask for my third question?
What's your favorite color?
Thank you. All right, I'm here with Tommy Santuoso.
Yep, Tommy Santuoso.
Santuoso, the large porg. And large porg, I've got 3 questions for you. First is, what's your advice for the next generation of Star Wars players?
Keep learning. It's like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. It's going to come at you fast and hard. Don't be afraid to lose. Don't get discouraged. Learning is a skill. Exercise that skill, and you will succeed.
All right, and what is your favorite alternate format other than open?
Hard to say. I like Premiere to Hoth because was the first nice quote-unquote balanced, but also Premiere to Death Star 2 because of Bastion. I watched a couple of games that he played, and it's like being in a grand library with many leather-bound books and rich mahogany. Thank you, Bastion, for turning me on to Premiere to Death Star 2.
All right, and finally, what do you think my third question should be?
Have you booked your World's hotel room yet, and why not?
Great. Thanks, Tom. I'm here with John Carr, and I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. So we're here in Minnesota, the home of the Walseth program, and we have some young players playing with us today. So with that in mind, what would be your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Oh, good question. I would say enjoy it, have fun. I mean, it's a game. It's a lot to learn. There's a lot of rules, so just take it slowly. That's kind of what I've done getting back into the game, just taking it one format at a time and just learning cards as I can. And obviously, the best way to get better is to play more games.
And speaking of formats, it leads right into question 2, which is, what is your favorite alternate format? So other than open, which is what we're playing today, and you probably have more thoughts on this than a lot of other people do. So yeah, what is your favorite alternate format?
Well, so this is literally the first time I'm ever playing open. So I'm a huge fan of retro formats. I love the retro leagues on GEMP. I don't really have a favorite one of them. I really enjoyed the Premiere through Hoth just because it was very different than some of the later sets with the objectives. So, but I don't know if I would say that was my favorite. Premiere through Death Star 2, like if I had to pick one, I would go with that.
And then finally, what do you think my third question should be?
Where did all this snow come from? I'm from Florida, and this is insane for me to see. So,
right. Where did all the snow come from? Thanks. All right, I'm here with Will Tarbox. And Will, we've got some younger players playing with us today. So with that in mind, what would be your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Well, if you like Star Wars, you should play some Star Wars CCG. For advice, I'm probably not the best person to ask for advice, but find people who like to play the game and just have fun playing.
I think that's great advice. And second question is, what is your favorite alternate format other than open?
Well, my favorite format is actually Premiere to Death Star 2, and I play more retro than I do open format. Premiere Death Star 2 is awesome. I love it. It's really fun, and I really like Premiere to Hoth also.
That's interesting. Those are the 2 that were mentioned in the previous answer. So yeah, both seem to be popular formats then. And finally, what do you think my third question should be?
Why did we have this tournament in Minnesota in April?
Thanks. I'm here with Dan Drentlaw, and we're in Minnesota. Well, you're from Minnesota, which is the land of Walseth, and we have some younger players playing with us today. So, with that in mind, what would be your advice to the next generation of Star Wars TCG players?
You're going to lose. You're going to lose badly. So don't give up hope. Keep on trying and keep on learning the new cards and watch the people that have been playing for a lot longer to kind of get some tips from them.
Nice, good advice. And second is, apart from Open, what we're playing today, what is your favorite alternate format for Star Wars?
I'd say probably Premier to Hoth. It's kind of simplistic, but it's still got some good cards that kind of come into the play. I did Premier to A New Hope, and that was kind of sad. But
there's a lot of sense in alternate.
yeah, and just a lot of cards that you just. I did the sealed decks, so you just get a lot of stuff that you can't even use. So, but the Hoth is definitely my favorite for retro.
That's interesting. Hoth is one that I would have not considered, but multiple people have said that as like that and Death Star 2 are like the ones that people are saying the most. So, and finally, what do you think my third question should be?
I should have thought of this because I heard you ask this to Will. Yeah, it is a tough question, but I'd say your question should be, because I love to play decks that involve Wookiees, is what should the next Wookiee helper card be?
Thank you. All right, I am here with Kendall Hallman. Do I have that name right?
Yes.
All right, Kendall. I'd like to ask you 3 questions. First of which being, we're in Minnesota, the home of the Walseth program, and so what would be your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Don't get overwhelmed, and just put the time in, and have fun with it.
Nice. And then the second question is, my mind just went blank. Tell me what the second question is.
My favorite alternate format.
Yes. Yeah, what is your favorite alternate format?
So, I mean, Jawa format is the obvious answer there, but I do want to shout out that I had a lot of fun playing Premier to Death Star 2. I was very impressed with that format at the side event last night.
Nice. And then finally, what do you think my third question should be?
I think, I mean, it's always good to ask about food, and I got to tell you, there's a Denny's across the
I've heard about the Denny's.
Across the parking lot. I had a Moons Over My Hammy for the first time. It's like a.
Well, you had never had Moons Over My Hammy before.
I'd never had Moons Over My Hammy. I always get the Grand Slam, and it's definitely a sandwich with lots of egg on it, and it was really good.
All right, thank you. I'm here asking 3 questions to Mike Kessling. Mike Kessling, what would be your advice to the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Read your cards.
It's the best advice we've gotten today. Second question is, what is your favorite alternate format for Star Wars CCG?
Cube, probably. In particular, Frodo's Broken Cube.
And the final question is, what do you think I should ask for my third question?
I think you just did.
Thanks. All right. I'm here with Lee Edwards. And Lee, I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what would be your advice to the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Find a team. It's very much a team sport now, which didn't used to be the case when I started playing in the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I feel like there were teams, but they were all regionally based.
Yeah, it's true. Team Albany had been around for a while, right? But they were kind of unique. Or at least they were, kind of the iconic team.
And the second question is, what's your favorite alternate format other than Open?
Oh, all of the Jedi.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all the Jedi's fun. I mean, it's very volatile because, you can pull nothing and then not be competitive at all. But it's kind of funny how, I like discovering weird combos. Like, you can sort of, get a card from Dagobah and then some random thing in, a Reflections pack. And you're like, oh, wow, this is actually going to work pretty well. So it's only fun when you get good cards, but you can always drop and not play.
And I do that. That's most of what I do for all of the Jedi entries. And the last question is, what do you think the last question should be?
The last question should be, who do you predict to win Nationals?
I'm here with Charlie Heron. And Charlie, I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what's your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Be patient
one game at a time. Read the cards. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is a very difficult game with a very steep learning curve, and just try to have fun.
And what's your favorite alternate format?
Like Premiere to Reflections 2 is up there, but I think like you kind of want the kind of the additional like enhanced Jabba's Palace stuff to kind of help add more to that. So I'd probably say Premiere to Ref 2.
And finally, what do you think the last question should be?
What do you think about the current meta, and what do you think of, like, what's your favorite images or artwork done by the graphics team?
All right, thanks. I'm here with Connor Britton, and Connor, I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what advice do you have for the next generation of Star Wars TCG players?
Play a lot of games, ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to just make mistakes and learn from them.
All right, and second question is, what is your favorite alternate format?
Alternate format, like outside of open?
Yes.
I love, it's funny, I love pan sealed. Like, the game came out when I was a kid, and I collect the cards but didn't play a lot. But, like, as an adult, to go back and learn how to play, like, the game as it was is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And opening packs is really fun on GAMP.
Yes. I found out recently that you can, I had enough gold to buy a couple boxes of Death Star 2. So I just opened through. I got both ultra rares. Felt really good. Anyway, yeah. The last question is, what do you think the last question should be?
What should come next in terms of like V sets? Like maybe, like what should be the next theme? And now I guess I have to answer that.
Nope. Thanks. I'm here with Mark Walseth, and Mark, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. First is very relevant to you, which is, what is the advice that you would give to the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
That's an easy one. It's on my shirt. Reading cards wins games.
And second question is, what is your favorite alternate format for Star Wars?
Ooh, my favorite alternate format is actually not one that is out to the public that people can play. My favorite alternate format is one I invented myself. I call it hybrid. It's all of the printed cards, just straight up printed cards, plus virtual shields. Think about that.
So it's the opposite of Lauren 29 and whatever he's doing. Yeah, okay, cool. I like that. And finally, what do you think my third question should be?
I think your third question should be, who will win this tournament?
Thanks. I'm here with Anthony Batmouse Howard, who finished in the top 4 in this tournament. And Batmouse, I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what would be your advice to the next generation of Star Wars players?
Embrace variance, but play solid. And for a lot of folks, they will know that Batmouse and variance are the same word.
All right. And secondly, what is your favorite alternate format?
I gotta say that Jawa is there, but there's a great format called Legend that one of my buddies is working on. That's fun if you don't let him talk you into a multiplayer version of it.
It's going to work one of these days, I promise. And finally, what do you think my third question should be?
The third question should be, so what are your goals for this year for Star Wars cards?
That was the question last tournament. Well, I mean, all right. Thank you. All right, I am here with Dennis Reinhardt. And Dennis, I have 3 questions for you. First is, what is your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
I would say get in as many games as you can as possible, and also while doing that, play the best players you can possible. Don't be afraid to play good players. A lot of people get intimidated. Don't do it. The only way you get better is playing people who are better than you.
100%. Great advice. Second question, what's your favorite alternate format other than open?
Probably Jawa format. And the reason for that is because you get to play some decks that you personally think are very fun, but aren't necessarily good in open format. So you have a chance to play them in Jawa and be successful while also playing decks that you find very fun.
All right. And finally, what do you think my third question should be?
I think your third question should be... Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm not going to say say what I originally said.
Oh, no, say what you said.
And then go for this, just the original where I can just. It goes
Okay,
right away.
I'll leave it up to Kendall. He doesn't want to edit this. I'm sorry, Kendall.
Well, tell him, Kendall, edit this part because my original question was answered during Charlie's and everybody laughed. And I didn't know if I could say it now, but I'm going to say it now. He's going to re-ask it, cut out everything in between. Here it is.
More likely, he's going to leave all of this in, and it's going to be so much better. Okay.
I'm here with Charlie Arlinson, and Charlie, I have 3 questions for you. First question is, what would be your advice for the next generation of Star Wars CCG players?
Wow. I think that the best advice I could give is to play a lot of Gemp, because it's going to be tough getting cards. But also make friends, because everyone in this community will help you get cards, build decks, you borrow cards. I know, like, proxies are illegal, so there's so many people, like limitless amount of people who are friendly and willing to help you build the decks you want to build. Don't sacrifice your decks for not having cards. Make sure you ask people if you can borrow cards. Everyone's super generous in this community.
100%. Second question, what is your favorite alternate format other than open?
My favorite alternate format does cube count, I guess?
Cube counts, totally. A particular cube?
Yeah, just like Power Cube or whatever the new cube is. It's actually good for new players too, because you learn how cards, all the virtuals work and stuff. Because
it's pretty similar to just meta decks, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll get objectives, new objectives, virtual cards, etc. That's my favorite. So
totally. And finally, what do you think my third question should be?
I think your third question. Oh God, let me think about that for 2 seconds. Your third question should be.
What's your body count?
I hope the mic picked that up. Just to be clear, that was not Charlie Arlinson's answer.
Oh man, let's say.
You're next, obviously.
I think your third question should be, what's your favorite Star Wars movie and why is it Episode 1?
There's an old saying in podcasts that the best way to guarantee something is kept on a podcast is to ask the editor to cut it out during the recording. That's all for now. Thanks to Dan Tartaglione and Justin Miyashiro for their event coverage, including their interview in Act 1. Thanks to all the event volunteers, especially Chris Schoenthal and Garrett Larson. Thanks to Matt Thornton for his help with this episode. Very special thanks to Travis Morris, who drove me to the event. Thanks for everyone that answered questions. Just special thanks to everybody for everything. Until next time, good luck, have fun, and no reverts. This podcast is a production of the KendallCast Podcast Network. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/KendallCast or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Thanks for listening.